So to make our granny square banner, I've done 2 different colours. Obviously you can just do one and repeat it or whatever, but you will need 2 different coloured yarns. So I'm using red and blue, and it's essentially just a normal standard granny square, but you're using the second colour to sort of cut out this heart shape. So I'll do it in this colour. So you're going to start with your heart colour. So I'm going to start with the blue. So you're going to do a slip knot. And you're going to chain 4. And then you're going to do a slip stitch into that first chain. So bring the yarn through and through again, and that creates like a little ring. You can also do the magic ring method, but I know some people find that quite tricky. So now we're going to create our first round on the granny square. So we're going to create clusters. So a cluster is 3 double crochets in 1 stitch. So to start our first cluster, the first chain I do is going to count as the first double crochet. So you're going to chain 3. So that's our first double crochet, and then into this hole you're going to do 2 double crochets. So 1, 2. So that's our first cluster, and now we're going to do a corner, so we're going to chain 2. Do our second cluster, which is 3 double crochets into the hole. Chain 2 for our next corner. Third cluster. Chain 2 again, and then our last cluster. And then chain 2 to create that corner. And then just in this first double crochet, you're just going to slip stitch at the top to join together, and that's your first row on the granny square. So that's that middle bit. And now we're going to do the second row. So we're still not changing colours yet, so you can stick with the same colour. So we're going to start our second row by chaining 3, and this double crochet is actually, well, this chain, which counts as a double crochet, actually belongs to this corner. So now we're going to move over to this corner. So we're going to chain 1, and that moves us over, and then in this gap we're going to do 3 double crochets. You're going to chain 2 as you do on a corner, and in the same hole 3 more double crochets. So you can see that we've got our corner there. And again, to move along this cluster, chain 1, and then we're going to go into this corner. So we're going to do the same 3 double crochets. Chain 2 for the corner, and 3 more double crochets into that hole. So you can see our second row forming nicely. We're going to chain 1 to move across this cluster, and then do the same corner of 3 double crochets. chain 2, 3 double crochets, chain 1 to move across the cluster, and then onto the last corner, 3 double crochets in the hole, chain 2, and then we're going to do 2 double crochets. As I mentioned previously, this chain counts as a double crochet. And then you're just going to pop your hook between that and slip a stitch. And there's your second row of your granny square. So now we're going to do some colour changing in order to create the heart shape. So I'm going to start on this side. So I'm going to chain 1, and in this gap I'm going to do a cluster. So that first chain counted as a double crochet, and then I did 2 more, and then I'm going to chain 1 to move along the cluster. I'm going to do a corner cluster, so we've got this shape here. So this is like the right side of the heart where the point goes up. And now we're going to create this red bit to create like the indent. So to chain colour, I normally do it on the chain across the cluster. So I've done 3 double crochets, and then I'm just going to loop the second colour through, and that's like our chain 1. And then I'm going to go into this hole and do 3 double crochets. So now we're moving onto the left side of the heart, so we're going to change colour back to blue. So I haven't cut any of my colours because I just find it easier to keep them attached, and then I'll just move them along. So remember, we change colour when we're doing the chain 1 to move over the clusters. So I'm just bringing that round like that. You can pull that a bit tight, and then we'll do the corner of 3 clusters, chain 2, 3 more clusters, and then like on the opposite side we're just going to do a cluster in the blue here. So we'll chain 1, this is here, so that's our shape so far. And now we're going to do these bits to bring the heart shape in. So we're going to change our colour to red for the corner. So I'm going to pull the working red yarn over, it's a bit of a stretch, and do the chain 1. And then I'm going to do the red corner cluster. So like that. And then to do the point at the bottom, we're going to do blue. So I'll bring that blue over to do the chain 1. Might want to pull it a bit so it's tight. And then I do the cluster in here for the point at the bottom. And then we're on to the last red corner, which is here. So swap back to the red, chain, and then the corner clusters. And then chain one, and then we're back to the beginning, so we're just going to slip stitch in that first stitch. So that's what we've got so far. You can sort of see the heart forming, and now we're going to do the last row, which is all around, and luckily there's no color changes, so you're just doing it in one color. So chain 3, and that's forming the cluster for here. I'm going to move across this cluster, so you're going to do another chain and then 3 double crochets in this hole. Chain 1 to move across the corner. Chain 1 to move across, cluster, chain 1, and in this last row I like to make sure that the back pieces are neater, so I'll sometimes like just pull them so that I'm crocheting them in, if that makes sense. So just holding those, and then I'll crochet into that hole, and it just secures them a bit more. Chain 1 to move across. I'm just going to pull those up and do the corner piece. Chain 1 to move across, we'll do a cluster in there. Chain 1, and then the last cluster we'll just do 2 double crochets, as that chain counts as one. And then to join we'll just do a slip knot. And that is your granny square heart. So I'm just going to cut this yarn, pull that like that. And then I'm just gonna cut that one as well. And then I'm just gonna weave these tail ends sort of in and out to secure them, so it looks neater like that. So you can do as many as you want. I'm creating a Valentine's banner, but you can make like a top, you can make a bag, you can make a blanket. Just by joining them all together. Hello. I've just finished making the cord to thread all the squares through. So I just plaited this, or you can just get like one string of yarn, but I just wanted it a bit sturdier. So I did 3 strands in a plait. So I'm just threading the hearts through, and just so they don't like spin around on the string when they're on the banner, I'm actually threading it through all 5 holes at the top, like this. So I'm just going to do that for the rest of them.